So, what are the top 5 mistakes that people make in Connect? Number one mistake, bar none, across the board, that everyone seems to make all the time: too much data. Too much data, too much information, too much detail. If your Connect has single spaced pages upon pages, it's too much information. The most I've ever seen, believe it or not, 6 single spaced pages for Connect. 6. Meter manager, crazy. He said, you could have said this in 2 sentences. Number one complaint. It's the thing that managers complain about most often to me. If you're turning in that kind of Connect to your manager, most likely they'll send it back to you and have you revise it. Why is too much not a good thing? Too much of a good thing is a horrible thing. And why is that? When you have too much data, too much detail, too much information, when it's 3-6 pages of single-spaced information, nothing stands out. They don't know what to focus on. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Your achievements, the thing that you've worked so hard to accomplish, your most significant and impactful things, are buried in unnecessary detail. Your significant accomplishments are lost. Your managers cannot identify them in 2 single space pages. When you turn in an enormous amount of unnecessary detail, there are 2 assumptions that your managers make about you. What do you think it does to your brand when you turn in too much data and too much information that doesn't add to your story? It doesn't even tell the story. What do you think it does to your authority? What do you think it does to your credibility? It hurts all of those. Picture 1 is how people talk when they get nervous. They ramble, they go in circles, there's no clear point, there's a lot of details, there's a lot of side roads. The second picture is how high functioning leaders think, how they communicate, how they want to receive information. The second picture is what builds your brand. The second picture is what grows your authority and credibility. The first one hurts it significantly. When you're unclear in your messaging, both in writing and speaking, they assume that you're long-winded, that you're a long-winded rambler. And there are 2 assumptions that people have for people that talk a lot with no clear point. They think that if that's you, you're unorganized in your thinking and therefore your work, or you're avoiding the question because you're going on and on and on. And if they've asked you a question and you've not answered it, they think you're avoiding. Mistake number 2, believe it or not, leaving out your most significant accomplishments, your most significant achievements. You may think, no way, I wouldn't do that. When you have an enormous amount of detail, you yourself can't even find your significant accomplishments. She was 6 pages, single space. This statement was nowhere in her Connect. Should have been her number 1 impact. The only reason I knew about it, I work with people one-on-one for Connect, as well as we have workshops for Connect. The only reason I knew about that is because she told me, but it was nowhere in her Connect. Didn't exist. Mistake number 2. If you can't even find your own accomplishments, how can you imagine that your manager would be able to? Leaving out your most significant accomplishments, mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, no data points, no numbers, no metrics. So in the Microsoft leader example that I shared with you, I helped our team to be more successful, engaged, and more happy. How were they more successful? This tells me nothing. How are they more engaged? Were they in an escape room doing a team activity? How do we know that they were more happy? This has clear data and clear metrics. There's no mistaking what she accomplished. I took a team that was miserable, score of 39. We know for you that work at Microsoft that you rank your managers on a scale of 1 to 100, right? So score of 39 is a dismal failure. They had high turnover and failing last out of 12 competing divisions to fulfilled score of 89 and thriving up 10 levels to second place. There's no mistaking what she accomplished. Okay, and this says so much more than our team was more successful, more engaged, and happier. Mistake number 4, no clear before and after, or no before and after at all. The examples that I gave you before, there was no before and after. This is from a Microsoft software engineer. And here's what she wrote for her role impact. Now, I've only shared the first paragraph of hers. The second paragraph is twice as long. So here's what she wrote. I took a process that notoriously took months before data was able to be processed and KPI ready to be able to achieve this in hours, where the yield for quality data was in the ballpark of 30%, to now being ready to be able to provide real-time feedback to improve our data capture yield to 100%. Clear as mud, isn't it? I can see the before and after. Can you? It's not clear at all. I had to actually get on the phone with her and talk to her about this to ask her what she meant. So here's what she really achieved. And it's quite an accomplishment, really. Her role impact. I transformed our data processing system, data ingestion, through automation and restructuring, resulting in shortening the time from 2 months to 2 hours, which is 730 times faster, and accuracy increasing from 30% to 100%. That's clear. When you have such significant improvement, when you take a process that took 2 months and you reduced it to 2 hours through automation and restructuring, highlight that in a bullet point. Figure out the numbers. It's 730 times faster. And when accuracy is increased from 30%, failure is 59%, D, 60, failure from 30% to 100%, phenomenal achievement. When you have accomplishments like that, bullet point it out and run the numbers. Mistake number 5. Lucky number 5. Not using simple language. You guys push back on this with me all the time. And here's why it's important. You want simple language that anyone can understand. The higher up you go, the fewer and fewer people will understand your industry-specific jargon and acronyms in your area of expertise. It doesn't allow for you to move laterally, neither internally or externally. So what do I mean by that? I work with somebody whose degree's in finance. Currently, she's in tax. She wants to explore M&A, merger and acquisition, or employee compensation. In her connects, all she talks about is tax, with specific jargon and acronyms. Now, when she goes to the M&A managers that are hiring, and they're reading her acronyms that they have no clue about because they're in M&A, they don't understand what she's actually achieved. And she won't be able to make that move laterally. Simple language that anyone can understand. This also applies when you're applying for potentially a new role at a new company. Maybe here you were in security and you're moving into something else. Simple language that anyone can understand. I want to give you guys examples. So in summary, what we go into detail in with our boot camp or working with me one-on-one are the specific metrics, your biggest achievements, the things that you need to list first, before and afters. Where did you begin? Where did you end? How can we know what you've accomplished without those 2 points? And simple language. I want to give you before and afters to showcase how powerful this is and how transformational the statements are. Remember also that you're showcasing your skill set and expertise in your area. You want to demonstrate your most significant achievements. Your numbers must be accurate and defensible. Your future projections must be optimistic and realistic. Go for a stretch, but not a giant leap. This is an actual example. So I work with a lot of CFOs from a CFO before. I helped our company to increase margins by 3%. I can tell you that in the world of finance, if you're in finance, you'll agree with me. I mean, unless your margins are paper thin, like the grocery industry, 3% is nothing. Here's what he really achieved. I helped to save a 70-year-old company from bankruptcy here in Seattle and keep 1,700 local jobs by increasing margins by $20 million. 3%, keeping a 70-year-old company, a legacy company, and 1,700 local jobs, which is better. Now, both statements are factually accurate. The second is significantly better. Example number 2, another CFO. I helped our company to identify an undervalued asset. He did so much more than that. I was pivotal in helping our company to move from a $40 million exit sale to 120 in just under 3 years. True story. When he went into this company, the company had been losing money for 3 to 5 years. They sold off some underperforming assets and they were profitable for the first time. The C-suite and board, they were fatigued. They were just done. So everybody wanted to sell for 40 million. He convinced the board and the C-suite to acquire this asset, and it tripled their value in just under 3 years. What's better? I identified an undervalued asset, no before, no after, no real metrics, or this. From the leader, I helped our team to be more successful, engaged, and happier. There's no before and there's no metrics to moving up 10 levels and going from a score of 39 to 89 to completely transform this team. They're crushing it. They're doing so phenomenally well. And the engineer, again, this was so much longer. The first paragraph was at least 2 more of those after that. And all of it was really unnecessary because the impact is buried here in too many words. I transformed our data processing system, data ingestion, through automation and restructuring, resulting in shortening the time frame from 2 months to 2 hours, 730 times faster, and accuracy increasing from 30% to 100%. So this is what you guys need to do. This is a very quick overview of the top 5 mistakes. And if you'd like to really learn how to apply these metrics, how to analyze the numbers, how to pull out your most significant accomplishments to showcase and highlight your achievements, we teach a Connect boot camp on weekends. That's 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday. It's intense and you will improve significantly. I also work with people one-on-one. I hope you enjoyed this. Know that no matter how long you've been at Microsoft, what your past Connects look like, your most recent has the most weight and the most impact.